This is on-nomi, a great new idea out of Japan, online drinks with your friends when you can't be with them in person. Cheers. Hi everyone, it's Andy here from Precision Hydration, and we've got another on-nomi, online drinks today, and this is a special one for a number of reasons. One of the reasons is the first one I've managed to do from Precision Hydration office, so that having not been here for weeks and weeks and weeks, I've sneaked back in today, and I'm sat in our little shed there with some of the jerseys behind me, and very pleased to be chatting with Ruth Astle. And Ruth is up in Yorkshire, I think, and good to see you, Ruth.
Good to see you too.
So what are you drinking today?
I'm actually on Ribena and sparkling water. Nothing that exciting at the moment.
No.
Yeah, if we were doing this in the evening, it would be a glass of wine, but not quite at lunchtime.
No, it's probably. Have you got another session to do today?
I actually don't. It's quite like Friday's usually quite a nice, easy day. And yeah, I try and get it done in the morning so I can just chill out in the afternoon.
Awesome. So for people that don't know you, and a lot more people know you these days than before, but people who don't know you, we first met you in 2015 when you were racing age group triathlon, and you had a sweat test with Johnny, my colleague here, and started using our products, and we've kind of always basically been in touch with you ever since when you moved on to Team Freespeed and so on and so forth. So tell us a little bit about how you got into triathlon and then how you've progressed through to now to the professional level.
So I think getting into triathlon was probably a bit of a sort of lucky chance. I got a spot with work to do a charity triathlon at the London XL one, actually. So that was good fun. Yep. Then was kind of looking for something competitive and something social as well in London. So joined the Tri Club, my local Tri Club, Full On Tri, and it just kind of went from there. So started with some local London races and then started hearing about age group stuff and wanted to get involved with that, and then sort of realised that I wasn't actually that fast, so I should probably do the longer stuff. So then moved on to the kind of half Ironman and Ironman. I think, yeah, my first half Ironman must have been 2016, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of just progressed from there.
Yeah, and you've progressed like unbelievably well for someone who only started the sport, that in that short space of time, going from like, just having a go to being a professional athlete now. What was your previous sporting background like, before you got into triathlon? Did that show any signs that you might be really good at this?
Not really. I was kind of always a trier. I tried quite a few things, and I played a lot of hockey. So hockey was probably my main background. I think there's quite a few of us in triathlon, particularly on the women's side. But yeah, I've never really was that great at any sport. I just quite enjoyed it and quite enjoyed being active and had quite a fit, active family. So I think I've always had a bit of a base of wanting to do something. But yeah, I was never particularly good at any sports kind of growing up.
Yeah, I think that's how I felt about triathlon when I started to get into it. Was I could do a bit of running and I could do a bit of this and that, but it seems to, and it always has seemed to reward people who are persistent and don't mind putting in a bit of hard work, and you can go a relatively long way on that, especially I think in the long distance stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with that. It's just sort of persistence.
Yeah, exactly. Keep going where others slow down. So you raced for Team Freespeed for, what was that, at least two or 3 years?
2 years it was.
2 years, yeah. And did really well with them. In fact, won in Kona, I believe.
I did, yep.
So massive highlight. And then you started racing with the Zwift Academy. And so tell us a little bit about how that came about and what you got out of that experience.
Yes, I guess the Zwift Academy, I sort of saw it the first year they did it, which was in 2018. I was like, that looks pretty cool. They're obviously getting really good kit. I was using Zwift quite a lot anyway to do a lot of my early morning workouts, because then at least you've got some company as opposed to being on your own. But yeah, I think I sort of thought I might as well give it a go and try and apply for it and see if I can make use of some of the kit and some of the kind of extra support that they were getting, and luckily managed to get in. But I mean, it was one of the most incredible experiences, you know, the kind of support that we got. I think I sort of said to quite a few people, I think that support we got in Kona last year was probably better than sort of 95% of the pros. So it was kind of pretty incredible with like the kit, the kind of nutrition, the like a little bit of everything really. So yeah, I think that definitely helped make last year a little bit easier. Although I did also say to them post Kona, I was like, it's going to be really hard to ever come back to Kona as a pro, because it will feel like pretty rubbish compared to how it was set up last year. But got to make it back there first. So
definitely. Now with Zwift, this kind of support they gave you. Obviously, you got sponsored equipment and all those type of things. But didn't you do some aero testing and that sort of thing with them? Was that right? Did I see that?
Yeah. So our kind of first week of sort of meeting the team and getting some of the kit, we flew out to America and went to the Specialized headquarters. And as part of that, we were in the wind tunnel. That was a really cool experience. I'd obviously done a couple of bike fits before that, but never been in a wind tunnel. And I think kind of seeing the process behind it and some of the testing that they put all their stuff through was quite amazing as well, because we kind of saw again like the whole factory, like how they build everything, the kind of I guess the work and everything that goes into all the bikes. But yeah, I think I went into the wind tunnel a bit like, I'm already quite aero, I'm not sure there's going to be much to find here. And actually there wasn't a huge amount that we could do. I'm quite restricted, being quite short, that there's only so much you can do with the bike but on the other hand, I'm already quite aero, so it's kind of, I don't really need to do that much more. But that was a really cool experience. Really enjoyed that.
Yeah, and I guess sometimes one of the advantages of being able to do all these kind of tests and look at things is, even if you don't find there's a huge amount you can gain in a certain area, you know at least to stop looking there. You go looking in other places.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the quite nice thing about ticking off some of the various things, you know, when you get your nutrition strategy nailed and things like that, then you can just focus on other stuff.
Yeah, very much so. And, you know, continuing along the lines of chatting about Zwift, you've been pretty active on Zwift this year with lockdown, lots of racing and that sort of thing. Have you enjoyed that? Has that been something that's been helped you to keep the motivation up?
Yeah, I think it's just like, it's been something a bit different to kind of focus on, and sort of having a weekly race that has been quite fun, I guess, especially not having any actual races to look forward to. And I think the other thing that's been really, really cool with it is being able to race a kind of different group of women. So obviously it's been a mix of short course, long course, kind of anyone. So yeah, I mean, it's not often you're going to be stood on, well, not that we stood on the start line, but sat on our virtual start line with, you know, people that are doing the Olympics and things like that. So like really enjoyed that as an experience. Probably helped that I managed to do all right. I think I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much if I was coming last every week. But I'm hoping they might put on another series potentially, depending on how long it is before we can race properly again.
Yeah, and on that subject, it's been in many respects a pretty awful year to have turned pro. You know, I know that no one saw this coming, so you know no one can be blamed for that. But you know, give us an insight into, because you managed to get a race in early in the year, is that right? As a pro, because you raced in Australia, I think, and did really well. How did you tell us a bit about your debut pro Ironman?
I probably made every single mistake I could do. It was so I felt quite good post Kona, and I thought, why not? Let's just go give Australia a crack. Looks like a good course. And I was still hoping that I might be able to do a sub 9 last year. And yeah, I don't really know what happened in the swim. I've got no explanation. I just had a bad swim. So I lost the group after about a K and spent the rest of that swim on my own. And actually got caught by some of the male age groupers when they did their first lap, which was quite demoralising. So sort of came out of the swim. I wasn't quite in last place. There was one person behind me, so still take a bit of comfort from that. I then went to head out on my bike, and I tried to jump on and come out of transition, and my back wheel was jammed onto the hydration tank at the back. I'd basically put the wrong tire on,
Oh, no.
because I hadn't tested it with the hydration system on the back. I didn't realise, so I had to like let a load of air out. Was obviously faffing around for ages. Then got on the bike, and that was all going really well. I was really enjoying it, and I could see that I was making up some time. And then with 30k to go, I got a puncture, managed to fix that.
Oh, no.
And then it went again with 15k to go. I didn't have any gas left, so I just rolled it back in on a flat back tire, which if you've ever tried riding a distance with a flat tire and tried to go around some corners, that's quite interesting. So lost a load of time there. Anyway, then I was like, well, my run shape has been quite good. Let's just try and get a marathon PB. It's going really well. First 2 laps, it was like a 4-lap course, really good. And then on the 3rd lap, I just had this weird like knee pain. So I had to like stop for a bit, tried to stretch it out, kind of had all these visions of having to DNF my first pro race. And I was like, absolutely not. I was like, even if I have to walk around this, I'm going to finish it. Managed to get jogging again. So yeah, all in all, actually a very bad debut. But I was feeling quite good about it, because I was like, well, I've got a load of mistakes out of the way. I've learned quite a lot in terms of, test your equipment properly. Don't put the wrong tire on.
Definitely.
So yeah, but it was nice as well, obviously then, given everything else that's happened, to have at least got one pro race in. Hopefully there might be another one at some point towards the end of this year, but we'll see.
Yeah, you never know. It's sort of, certainly in some parts of the world, it looks like that might happen. Yeah. That's interesting, actually, just going back to your thing. That's probably the best hydration fail I've ever heard, actually, because I've heard a lot of those, with people that contact us, but I've never heard of one where a hydration fail's caused you a mechanical problem on the bike. So I'm going to remember that one.
Yeah, nothing to do with the actual product. You're pleased to know.
Yeah, exactly. I was always worried about that. Good stuff. So in an ideal world for you, what does play out this year? Do you think what's looking like it might happen for races? Have you got any ideas yet?
Like, it's really hard to say, because I guess things seem to change so quickly. So I was kind of eyeing up. There's a race in the south of France, in Girardmer, which is like half distance, at the beginning of September. So that potentially could be right, because I guess you can just drive down. And it's not as big numbers, so I think there's more potential that might happen. Really like to get an Ironman in, and there's obviously still quite a lot that are kind of scheduled in for September, October, November time, but I just can't really see how you can do an Ironman in any kind of socially distanced way.
No.
Especially from they're not going to want to put it on if they can't make money, and they can only make money if they've got thousands of people racing. So I think I've kind of resigned myself to not really doing any kind of big races this year. If we do, then it's a big bonus, but otherwise we'll just kind of look for some sort of local races and just see what we can get in, and just build towards hopefully there being then some races next year.
So with that in mind, how hard are you training at the moment, and how are you sort of planning that training? It's interesting times for operating in a vacuum like that.
Yeah, so I think I sort of at the beginning of lockdown reset back to it being kind of winter training, and that was actually quite interesting. So I was at like peak fitness, ready to go to Ironman South Africa, and then it was like, oh, now I need to get less fit because we're not going to have any races for ages. So sort of spent 2 weeks doing pretty much nothing, and then kind of got back into just sort of base training, which is quite nice actually, just sort of ticking along. I guess we're now in a bit more of a kind of, we've been doing sort of different focuses. So I've been doing a little bit of swim focus. So I've been doing some quite big swim blocks, and also been trying to do a bit more on the run. So I've actually been doing some quite hard run sessions, just trying to bring my run on a little bit. But yeah, kind of all balancing it out quite nicely with not trying to do too much. Because I think the worst thing to do at the moment would be to push too hard, get injured, or just burn out towards the end of the year. So yeah, and then little things like I'm actually going off for sort of 5 days of gravel biking around the Lake District from tomorrow, just to do something different, do something fun.
Very cool. Yeah.
So yeah,
that would be awesome.
Yeah, well, we'll see what the weather does, but probably get some rain. So yeah, I think, it's been a mixture of training fairly hard, but not in the middle of like a big Ironman block, but also trying to mix up some fun stuff as well.
Yeah, very good. Now, obviously, prior to being a pro triathlete, you were competing at an extremely high level. World age group champion, whilst working, and you had a pretty high high pressure job. Working in finance in the city, etc. I've read a lot of things in the past about the fact that you used to survive on not a lot of sleep, and you were having to get up very early to train and all that kind of thing. So my sense is that one of the big things about going pro for you is been about more recovery time and downtime and that sort of thing. Can you explain how that's how beneficial that's been?
Yeah, definitely. I think I've gone from averaging sort of 5 to 6 hours sleep a night to averaging more like at least 8, probably sometimes even up to 10, which is quite ridiculous. And I'm sort of struggling to get up for 7:30 at the moment, so it's a little bit about a 3-hour lion. It has been quite interesting, because obviously a lot of people said to me, they're like, the main thing that you will notice is getting more sleep and the benefits that have. I think I'm not sure necessarily that I've seen huge benefits yet, but then I think it's hard to kind of tell when you're not racing, so you can't really put it to the test. I think I have definitely noticed that I recover better and a little bit more quickly. So I think, looking at some of the Zwift racing and things like that, I think if I was doing that and then getting like 5 hours sleep, I'd probably feel horrendous for about 3 or 4 days. Whereas it probably takes a day or two, a bit longer after Wednesday's race up the Alp. But I think definitely it's helped with the recovery, and I think it's also just put me into like a bit of a more chilled out mindset, which then means it's like you can train quite hard, but then be quite relaxed the rest of the time. So I think that's probably the main benefits that I've seen, but also just not having a high pressure job. And the kind of mental stress of that has been really nice. Although I'm still doing 2 days a week, which has been nice during this whole period to have something else to focus on. But it's like very much not high pressure, quite a lot of it on my own terms, and been much easier to manage.
Yeah, no, that's very good. And alongside that, we've seen that you've been pretty active, building up your profile on YouTube and that kind of thing. Tell us about what you've been getting up to on there.
Yeah, I just thought, why would people not want to see what I'm up to? I think YouTube seems to be one of the next kind of things of social media, and I thought, I initially set it up because I thought it might be quite interesting for people to see that sort of transition from age group to pro, and see a bit more of what that first year pro journey is like. Clearly it's been a bit different to how I imagined. But yeah, I think like the guy that I've been working with, Jack, from 226 Photography, we've been quite keen to try and keep it to a let's just do stuff kind of when we have something to say. I think there's quite a lot out there where people feel the pressure to do like a video a week, and I don't have enough stuff to say to do a video a week. So we've been trying to keep it a bit more of a let's just do things when we have something to kind of talk about. But yeah, it was just kind of give a bit of an insight into what is the difference between sort of last year and then this year, and kind of follow that journey a bit. So hopefully there'll be some races at some point.
To feature in that. So how can people, what's the easiest way for people to find that? What should they look for if they want to find your
if you
videos?
just type Ruth Astle into YouTube, should come
Great.
up.
Awesome. Yeah. No, I think, there is a lot to learn. And what I love these days is the fact that so many pro athletes are really active on social media, on YouTube and that sort of thing. Because when I started racing years ago, you maybe got a little insight every month from 220 magazine or Triathlete magazine with the odd interview and this sort of stuff, and the odd little snippet that was on TV, but there was nothing like you had to really dig around to find anything. Now you can really start to see and learn a lot faster from what other people are doing. Is there anyone that you, as an athlete yourself, is there anyone you follow, and look at what they're doing in particular, do you think?
Yeah, there's quite a few. I find it really interesting, and I think I'm always keen to kind of learn what are certain people doing. I think I really enjoy Laura Phillips'
Yeah.
YouTube channel. She talks a lot about quite a lot of different subjects, and again, like does it in quite a nice sort of natural way. And then I think I quite enjoy watching Lionel sometimes, just because
Yeah.
he's so like open, and you just watch him suffer basically on all, on all of his training. So they're probably the two. But I follow a lot of the other pro triathletes on sort of Instagram and stuff, and generally just quite enjoy keeping track of what everyone's up to.
Cool. Yeah, no, I agree. I think there's a lot of good stuff out there, and I definitely know what you're saying about Lionel's one. If you want to see a man who's like willing to throw down all day, every day,
Yeah.
it seems that he's your man. And that's perfect time, because you just finished your drink. So I know you've got stuff to do, back to work or recovering for your next session. But thanks for joining us for a quick chat. And very jealous of even if it rains, I'm jealous of the fact you're going gravel biking for a few days, because that's something I've just started to get into myself, because I'm down in the New Forest and we've got phenomenal trails and tracks. And I'm just sort of trying to plan out where I'm going to head out to this weekend, try and snatch a few hours and get out there. So if you ever find yourself down this way, bring your gravel bike.
I will do.
Show you around.
Sounds great.
And other than that, yeah, nice to talk to you.
Yeah, good to chat.
Thanks, Ruth. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.